I lived in Brazil for over 10 years and I still get shocked by what happens in Brazil during the World Cup. So before the World Cup starts, streets and buildings are painted, and Brazilian football shirts and merch are sold everywhere, and people go crazy about football albums and stickers, and trading the stickers in parks and shopping malls. And then when the Brazilian team plays a match, the whole country practically shuts down, stores and shopping malls close, and also banks, government services, schools, businesses and offices close, and some workers and school kids either take a day off on the match day or leave early. And the streets are empty and everyone's packed into bars or at home watching the match. And this definitely doesn't happen in Sweden. Yes, lots of people watch the match, but the country doesn't close down like it does here in Brazil. So let's have a look at the things that most shocked me about the World Cup here in Brazil. And let's start with the decorations. So here in Brazil, there's this tradition of painting the streets before the World Cup starts. So they paint the Brazilian flag, the World Cup trophy, and the flags of the other competing countries as well, the Brazilian football players, different mascots and animals, and various other things. And you can see this neighborhood here, they got really into the spirit of decorating the street. You can see they painted the walls as well, with a lot of the Brazilian players from the past and in the current team, and even the manager of the current Brazilian team, Carlo Ancelotti, who isn't Brazilian. And on the other side, they painted some players from other teams, and they're pretty good. I think I recognize most of them. And they do this just to celebrate the World Cup, to show national pride, and also some believe that doing this gives good luck to the Brazilian football team. Now I think this is really nice, and it's impressive how much time, money and effort they put down into painting these streets. Now if you come to Brazil during the World Cup, don't expect every street to be painted like this. It used to be more, it is reducing a bit, but you can still see these painted streets in many towns and cities around Brazil. And it's not just the streets decorated, also businesses, stores, restaurants put up World Cup decorations. So this here is a McDonald's restaurant in Sao Paulo called Meki 1000, and they painted the whole building in Brazilian colors, and I think it looks really good. And then finally, people like to decorate their own homes. A lot of them have World Cup parties and barbecues and so on. So lots of stores sell various decorations that you can buy and put up in your home, and obviously everything is in yellow, green and blue. So kind of during the build-up to the World Cup, it does feel a bit similar to like a big holiday like Christmas or Easter or something, because it really is a big national celebration. Okay, then the second thing that Brazilians love to do during the build-up to the World Cup is buy lots of clothes. So about a month or two before the World Cup starts, suddenly everyone is selling the Brazil football shirt, and then also other non-official clothing as well, which is yellow, green and blue. Now the official Brazilian football shirt is made by Nike. It costs between 450 reais and 750 reais. It's between $86 and $144. So these shirts are pretty expensive, and there's been a fair bit of discussion about how these shirts are the most expensive in the world when you compare against the average salaries in the country. So you've got this article here saying that someone on a minimum salary here in Brazil would have to spend between 22 and 46% of their monthly salary in order to buy one of these football shirts. So these things aren't cheap, but I think the companies charge so much for these shirts because they know they'll still be able to sell it, because Brazilians have this passion for the football team and so are willing to spend lots of money to have the latest football shirt. But for those who aren't willing to spend so much, you've got lots of unofficial football shirts and other clothing. But you can see in this store all the stuff that they're selling. Lots of shirts, tops, bikinis, shorts, tracksuits, jumpers, hats, flip-flops, and even jewelry, and also makeup as well. And a lot of these things are a lot cheaper. So most of these things cost between $10 and $20. And you can see the Brazil shirt that I'm wearing. So this definitely isn't the official one. So I picked this up for $10 from one of the roadside sellers. So you've got lots of these sellers that just pop up on the pavement next to the roads, where they sell these shirts and flags and some other merch. And here you can find some very cheap stuff. And then another thing that happens during the World Cup build-up here in Brazil is that people go crazy for the World Cup album and the stickers. Now you can buy these World Cup albums and stickers in countries around the world, but I've never seen so many people doing it before. So this really is a national obsession here in Brazil. And I just googled it to check, and yeah, Brazil is the biggest market for these World Cup stickers. And buying the album and the stickers isn't cheap. So the album costs between 24 and 74 reais, between $5 and $15, which is pretty reasonable. But then you have to buy so many stickers. And each pack of stickers costs 7 reais, so $1.35. And to complete the album, you need 980 stickers. So that works out at roughly 1,000 reais, so $200. Obviously you get duplicates, so you'll have to buy some more. And also you can trade your duplicates with other people. So in the weeks before the World Cup, people go crazy trading these stickers. Sometimes people can meet up in stores. In some shopping malls, they create special places just for people to go and to trade their stickers. Also in parks and car parks as well, people just suddenly set up and start trading these stickers. So it really is a massive thing. Now, I bought the album for my daughter, not realizing how many stickers we'd have to buy to complete it. But we bought some stickers and I let her go to one of these trading events just for her to experience trading some stickers. But there's absolutely no way that I'm spending, $200-300 on completing this album. And then when the World Cup starts and Brazil plays a match, that's when the really crazy stuff happens. So for most Brazilian workers, there's no law or rules or something that says that they can take the day off when Brazil plays a match. But what actually happens is that many Brazilians, they take the whole day off when Brazil plays a match, or they take the morning or the afternoon off depending on when the match is. Obviously, it depends on what kind of work you do and what kind of employer you have. So I know for government workers, so some local governments have decided the workers can take a holiday on the day that Brazil plays a match. And the Brazilian government is also looking into whether all federal workers can take a holiday on the day of the match. And so the result is that a lot of the government services, they shut down on the day of the match. Obviously not the crucial things like the emergency services and the hospitals and so on, but many of the other services. And then those who work for companies and businesses, this all depends on what the businesses decide. Many of them let their workers go home early before a match, as long as they catch up on their work at another time, while others provide a big screen and let the workers stop working and watch the match in the offices. And so as a result, most of the stores, shopping malls, offices, businesses, banks, they close during the matches. And so if you're someone who's not into the World Cup and you want to try and do some things during the match, do some shopping or go to the post office or something like that, then you're going to have serious problems because most of these things are shut. And in terms of the schools as well, so a lot of the schools allow the students to stay home during the match and arrive later in the day after the match, if the match is in the mornings, or go home early in the afternoon if the match is in the afternoon. Again, there's no official rules, it depends on the school. But for example, in the school that my daughter goes to, they give the option of the kids being able to go home to watch the match or stay in school and watch the match on a big TV. And so what usually happens on the day of a match is that 1 or 2 hours before the match, there's a lot of traffic on the roads. Everyone's trying to head home or to a bar or a World Cup party that someone's organizing. Lots of people going to the supermarket as well to stock up on beers and snacks and other things. So there's a lot of activity before the match, but then when the match starts, everything goes quiet. Got very little traffic on the roads, the city centers are deserted, and everyone's at home or in bars watching the match. And it is quite interesting actually driving around when Brazil plays a match. And if you look up at apartment buildings, you can see the glare of a TV screen from every apartment. And then when you drive past bars, they're just packed full and nearly everyone is wearing the Brazil shirt. And you definitely do not need to watch the match to know what's going on. When Brazil scores, it's a literal explosion. People start screaming, fireworks go off, cars start honking the horns. People run out onto their balconies, start screaming, and obviously when the opposite happens and the other team scores, there's a lot of angry shouting, swearing, and even crying. And for a Swede, this is crazy, just to think that everything shuts down during a World Cup match. I mean, yeah, lots of people want to watch the World Cup when Sweden plays, which isn't that often, but when they do, lots of people go to the bars and so on. But you don't see this general shutdown where you can't go to a bank, a store, or the post office or something during a match. No, that definitely doesn't happen. And I think that's partly down to the fact that football is so embedded into the Brazilian culture. Children start playing football from a very young age, both boys and girls. They play on the streets, the park, beaches, even the favelas have football pitches. And also football dominates the sport industry in Brazil. There's no other sport that comes close to it. Well, in other countries like Sweden, yeah, football is the main sport, but then there are many other sports which are very big as well, especially ice hockey and bandy. So you don't just have this one sport that everyone focuses on. And then finally, Brazil has won the World Cup 5 times, and that brings a lot of national pride to Brazilians, while many other countries like Sweden have never won it, and so we just don't feel the same way about the sport. Okay, so that's how the World Cup is celebrated in Brazil. It was a bit of a shock for me at the beginning, but now I'm used to it, and now I'm just as big of a supporter of Brazil as my Brazilian friends and family. But Brazil has been going through a bit of a drought. The last time it won the World Cup was in 2002, and if you're ever in Brazil, whatever you do, don't mention the 2014 World Cup match against Germany, which no Brazilians talk about and they all want to forget. But hopefully 2026 is the year for Brazil, and I'll definitely be supporting Brazil and Sweden. So if you like this video, please leave a like, subscribe. If you've got any comments, leave in the comments section below. So thanks for watching, until next time.